So this is fun, new territory. And I both feel the gift of magnetizing people from all over the world who contact me and they're like, thank you so much for finally speaking about this. And I also receive a lot of criticism. How could you involve sexuality? It's taboo. We're not supposed to have sex in ceremony or near ceremony, right? You've been told that. Well, what the plants are showing me is that there's a way to expand our notion of sexual energy. And I'm sure all of you have felt that in a journey. Have you? Great. So I think it's ridiculous to separate the two. I have had an interesting journey in terms of having my world fall apart around 10 years ago when suddenly life changed and that my partner died of a heart attack. And I thought, what am I going to do? Life doesn't make sense. And what do you do in that situation? Usually we go on a vision quest or something, and I decided to go to Peru. And I thought, I'm going to be grieving, for the whole, probably crying for the whole week in ceremony. But what happened instead was that I experienced this full body pleasure that I didn't know was possible. Has anyone experienced that? I'm like, what is going on? So I go back to Vancouver, BC, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to change my life, my job, left a partnership, and decided, okay, what kind of excuse can I have to leave everything but sort of seem normal? And it's do a PhD, right? So I go to San Francisco, and I decide, okay, I'm going to ask the plants, what do I need to focus on? And I go into the jungle, I go on a 3-month isolation diet. Those of you who know what that is, I was purging every day for 3 months. It was pitiful and wonderful. And I asked the plants, okay, what do I need to focus on? And I had the dream where I was in New York, Times Square, on a podium, up, and having sex with someone, and thousands of people were watching. And I'm like, this is really odd. Like, I'm not an exhibitionist. I don't get it. And so what I realized through the 3 months was that I had my own sexual abuse that I experienced as a child that I really needed to go into and heal. And also I realized that I had fallen into the pattern of sex and love addiction. Does anyone relate to that or know what that is? So I realized that I was having very unwise sexual interactions with people. I was sexing it up all over in some ways, and I didn't know energy. So the question I asked in terms of who wants to know how to be sexually vibrant, well, the answer with plant teachers and theogens, mindfully. So learning about your energy. Does that make sense to anyone? I was not mindful. And so that time in the jungle was really beautiful so that I could clear, center, and learn what this sexual energy was. Now, does anyone want to know how to identify certain blocks that you might be energetically doing that's preventing you from being sexually fulfilled? Okay. So, first, sexual energy confusion, right? So, what I'm finding with the clients that I'm having over the last 15 years is that we are either contracting or expanding, right? So we might contract and go on a spiritual path, which is what I did. And the thing is, you don't have sex in your diets, and you don't have, right? And so I was contracting. And I'm like, no, don't dream about sex, no, don't. And that is beautiful in its own way, but I was repressing the sexual energy that was there, right? So then you have the sexual expansion, where people are sexing it up all over, And I have been enjoying collecting data and the stats of the porn addiction in the United States. Did you know that every 5 minutes, so since you've been here, $500 million has been spent on internet porn in the United States?
Every 5 minutes?
5 minutes. Yeah, I had assistants do this research, by the way, so they got it current. And this idea that sex and stress are not related, they are related. So do you know, in terms of the numbers, in 2012 in the United States, 40 million people stated that they felt stressed. Well, that's common, right? That makes sense. 20 million of those 40 million are being prescribed medications for their anxiety and depression. What is that doing to our sexual energy? Right? Right, suppressing. So we're contracting and expanding. So sexual energy confusion is what I see. The other is in terms of making choices in your sexual relationships. So I'm finding people are either having trouble letting go of past lovers. Anyone have that issue? You can raise your hand. I did. And so the energy that I was leaking, hanging on, why didn't they love me, why couldn't right? And then you have other people who let go and they're like, okay, I'm gonna lose hope, I lose hope, I'm not gonna even dream that I can have that sacred sexual experience with another being, a human being. I will just follow the spiritual path and do what I want to do and love myself, and it's beautiful, right? This whole idea of loving yourself. It sounds great, but it's tricky. And we live in a society with other human beings. So what I did is I contracted and was in the jungle, like I don't have sexual energy, I'm not going to date, I don't know how to do it, right? And now I'm learning how to integrate the two energies together. The careful, mindful way that I share sexual energy, and then the expansive way in terms of connecting with other humans. And not just romantic partners. This is authentic sexual connection that is happening all the time, right? I'm at the place now where I would say over 80% of my ceremonies involve this humongous erotic energy in my body where I'm just like, have you heard of squirting? Yeah, it happened last month to me, and I literally wet my pants, my skirt. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting to hold space, right? For people while but it's there, the energy is there. What I'm seeing is that these plants are the guides and the teachers showing us how to be aware of our energy in our bodies. So what I have come to in the last 10 years in terms of the benefits of me exploring this area is that I actually am in my body. So this whole idea of going on journeys to connect with aliens or see rainbows, unicorns, that's lovely. But really what it's been teaching me is how to be in my body, how to heal that sexual trauma and actually be here and feel pleasure. So I can feel pleasure in my body and pleasure with another human being. That's amazing, right? Results. Also, what I'm finding is that I have a lot more energy. So through this erotic energy, which actually is the pulse of creation, right? So these plants embody both the feminine and the masculine energies. We ingest it, it's in our bodies, they're showing us what this feels like. So I have more of this energy to focus on my services, my calling, my passion in life. And I have been blessed with clients who are so inspirational. And I actually have the ability now to hold that container for them because I'm clear in alignment and I can channel my energy in a very mindful, focused way. Do I still get caught in certain old patterns? Yes. What I'm doing is I'm able to be aware of them sooner and transform them. Right? So Another benefit, which sounds simple, but so profound, is that I actually get to feel love for myself, and I feel God's love. Is that amazing? And here's an example of a client that I had just a few months ago, who is an investment broker. He handles billion-dollar accounts. He's extremely academically smart, and I asked him, what are you most proud of in your life? And he said nothing. And so we've been on a journey together for months, and he had this huge awakening, just the feeling of coming back to himself. What is it for him to be a man in this world, in a very, capitalistic, masculine system? And so to witness him healing, in front of me and sobbing, oh my God, how beautiful. Because in this journey, the masculine and the feminine need to be integrated, right? This is we're ushering in the new paradigm, right? And that is the weaving and the harmonizing of these energies. And that goes back to what I said. The key thing to learn is energy in your body, your energy centers, how you walk in the world. So I'm not sure if any of you have studied, well, you probably have. Most of you are practitioners, right? Yeah. So what's interesting is, in terms of noticing, of all of our energy centers, what percentage is open and closed? So again, this is the expansion and contraction. So being mindful, it's just like you're tracking yourself. You're having fun. You're experimenting in life, right? You see how you feel with different people. And I feel something here. Check in with that person, right? And one of the things that I'm seeing with clients, that they're expressing this need to heal their sexual trauma, but this center here is directly associated with the throat and communication, right? So one of the key areas that I see transform is the ability to voice yourself authentically in your truth. And it's shocking how many clients I've heard, in terms of couples, who have been together for 15 years and haven't had an intimate connection for 10 years. What does that do to your body? What does that do to your life, your vital source? So for those of you who are more practical, you can look at it really in terms of your general well-being and how your resources are being channeled. This includes money. For those folks who have years of therapy, like talking therapy, or the amount of money you spend on prescription, medications, shopping, what other addictions do we have, right? So in terms of really looking at our energy in many different levels, the root chakra, that safety, security, family, belonging, traditions, directly associated with what? What else? In the practical sense, everyday life that you actually handle every day. Yeah. So this is when I go on a journey with people. This is where we start, and we get really intimate in terms of, let's get to the basics. Let's get to anatomy first, and then we look at ceremonial, ritual, and how do we bring in allies, etc., and money, and what does safety mean, etc. Because that's really what grounds us and roots us, right, to where we are, and then how we can expand ourselves from there. So from what I've seen, I have no idea of timing. Okay, so what I've seen is that the possibility in transformation in these journeys is so profound and in some ways untapped. And I am dedicated to transforming our connection with sexual energy around entheogens and plant teachers. And I founded a school recently in Vancouver. It's called Wen Center, and there are different programs that one can either 3 months, 6 months, a year, and you can decide how deep do you want to go, and the importance of integration. So community is very important. There's going to be, group circles. There's going to be group sharings, like after circles. So it's really exciting to see the people coming through, to collaborate with other teachers, and also focus on, in terms of root chakra, the grounding, focus on where you're living. What are the plants that are in your backyard? There are so many ways to connect with that sensual erotic energy that's right there for you. You don't need to travel to Peru. You can if you want, or travel wherever. But you're sitting in it all the time. You're immersed in the flowers and the insects and right? And it's all there all the time. So it's a matter of clearing and opening up and learning how to listen. Listen. Listening, big part of communication, right? So what I have found is that it's easy for us to get stuck in our patterns. Does anyone notice that in your life? You get stuck? What does it take to get you out? Yeah, sometimes it takes a crisis, right? For me, it was a death of a loved one. Others, it's disease, divorce. What else? Do you want to wait for that crisis?
No.
You don't have to. You can, like I did. There are other ways, and what I found is really amazing is to go step by step through a love map and really looking at where you are, where you want to go, and how to get you there. Does anyone want to experience a love map?
Yeah.
And then which plants can actually ground you and support you through that journey? And I'm sure you each have the certain plant that you are already emanating right now. And it would be fun actually to see which plants are represented here. So I would love to offer a complimentary love map session. And it's by phone. And if you would like to share your email on the clipboard, please put your name. I'm going to email you all, and I have a link for to book a session, but I'm only going to take 5, the first 5. And this is not for everyone. That's why. Because this is for people who want to commit to themselves. You want to go deep. You are opening to getting out of your patterns, trying a new way, trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. So the email will go out from yalila@yalila.com, and you can tap into your heart and see, okay, am I ready for this? And book a session. And I would love to connect and just hear what your experiences are, what you're finding challenging, what you're finding exciting in your life around intimacy and relationships. Thank you.